Hi, I'm Lily, and I decided to make this stained glass window from Digital Circus Episode 2 because I am normal about the show. I didn't record any of me making the pattern, but it's essentially traced from the one in the show, but significantly simplified so I could make him much, much smaller than he appears in the episode. I'll put a link in the description if you want to take my design and use it for your own projects. I'm starting here by numbering the pattern pieces and figuring out a color code for which glass I want to use. Then I'm cutting it out using 2 pairs of scissors, a normal pair, and a special pair of pattern shears for the bigger parts. Once that's all done, I go on to gluing each piece down onto the glass I intend to use for it. I'm using Gorilla Glue rubber cement. It holds the paper on very nicely, but is also really easy to wash off. I'm arranging the paper in a way to optimize the space on the glass as much as possible while still being physically able to cut between the pattern pieces. These tiny 6x6 sheets are absolutely perfect for this project. They're Oceanside brand. Would you guys be interested in a list of the colors I used? Let me know and I'll drop one in the comments. Up next is cutting the glass. Using a pencil-style glass cutter, I score the glass and then snap it along the score using running pliers. I was pretty lucky with this project because it doesn't have any grain to it. If it had any sort of patterned glass, I might have been in a bit more trouble. There's sort of a Murphy's Law thing when it comes to cutting glass, which is that the more expensive the glass is, the more bad cuts you will make. Red is the most expensive color, so naturally I had more bad cuts with this than almost any other color. That blue box is my scrap box, so if any piece is big enough to be reused, I'll stick it in there. It's getting pretty full though. Can someone please give me good suggestions for scrap projects? I hate cutting this white glass. I hate grinding this white glass. I hate this white glass. It looks so pretty, but I hate working with it. Ugh. After I swept up some glass pieces, I got right to my favorite part. Grinding! I'm kidding, I hate grinding. It's just me shrimping outside for hours. I got a new grinder bit for this project, and it helped a lot actually. Unfortunately, the white glass hates being ground, so that probably wore down my new one. Posture reveal. These rubber thimbles for sewing are a game changer. They saved my poor thumbs. They also got cut up pretty bad, so I'm gonna go buy new ones after this. A few of these pieces had curves that were a little bit too narrow to grind with my regular grinder bit, so I had to break out my Mini G elevated workspace. This is also a game changer. I'm such a huge fan of it and the doors it opens for me when designing, but I also always feel like I'm using it wrong. Oh well. After the glass has been ground, I wash it off with just water. Since this project had so many pieces, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing any before I went any further, so here I am assembling him while watching Oran High School Host Club. Good thing I did this too, because I was missing 2 pieces, part of the gums and a square from the blue border. At this point I had already put away my glass grinder though, so I'd made do and used a bench grinder, which as it turns out is a really bad idea. My glass grinder is filled with water, the bench grinder is not. The glass got real toasty real quick, and the edges were a bit rough, but it worked in a pinch. Okay, so here I am wrapping each individual piece in copper foil tape so that the solder has something to stick to. I flatten the tape to the glass using this red plastic stick called a burnishing tool. I don't think it's very clear here, but for Caine's irises in particular, I fudged things a little bit. I was going to cut out each tiny piece that I had drawn in the pattern, but after grinding I realized the copper foil would cover up nearly all of the glass, so I made just 2 circles and then put foil over where the solder lines would have been if they were all separate pieces. So all of this is one piece of glass, and all of this is just solder. This is one of the only portable parts of the process, so this is just a fraction of the time I spent doing this. Okay, now it's time to assemble him again on top of the pattern, but pin him in place this time. I thought it would be smartest to work from the inside out. I'm doing this on top of a square of drywall I got from Lowe's, so I don't have to worry about cleaning it. It's the same surface I cut the glass on earlier. I'll put up a picture, but my work surface has a lot of fluids on it, from cutting oil to flux to my own blood. Owie! Now it's time for my actual favorite part of the process, soldering. First, I paint over all of the copper foil tape with liquid flux, and then I tack it all together so it doesn't shift while I work on other areas. Here I am doing one of the doves. If there's an area that's too big to be covered by solder, but too small for glass, I'll roll up some copper foil and stick it in there to bridge the gap. I did this in the little triangle between the dove's wings. I'm using 50/50 solder, mainly because it's cheaper than 60/40. For the uninitiated, those numbers represent the ratio of tin to lead in the solder. It doesn't make a huge difference, it's more of a preference thing, but they flow a little differently and have slightly different shine and strength. And the other side. Also, yeah, I'm watching Caine on my phone at the same time. I haven't seen it before. I like it a lot so far, though. Bonus points for anyone who can identify what I'm watching in every shot my phone is visible. Near the end of this, I ran out of solder, so I just did the bare minimum before it was all gone. I got some more and then came back and gave those parts a better, higher bead. You can see me fixing some parts that leaked through the bigger gaps. I will regret doing this outer rim part. I was originally just gonna put solder on the edges, but after I tried that and it looked awful, I decided I needed something with a little bit more structure. Lead Caine. Now, I've never used lead Caine before. It's essentially a stick of lead with a channel for the glass to go in. It comes in several shapes and sizes. At first I was using U-shaped Caine, but there are also H-shaped and C-shaped varieties. This means that I don't have a Caine stretcher or a knife or any of the other tools one needs to use Caine. I made do with what I had. You can see me struggling with trying to fit the piece into the channel since I had beaded up all the solder all around the edge. This is me flicking drops of solder away so I can shove it in there. Eventually I gave up on the U-shaped Caine and switched to a bigger C-shaped Caine, which I've heard is better for round projects anyways. This one was so much easier to work with, and it covered a lot more imperfections with the edges not quite lining up. And here I am soldering it in place and really trying to blend the solder and the Caine together in a way that feels seamless. Now I'm attaching the jump rings so that he can be hung up later. Here comes my utility sink again. Time to wash off all the flux and gunk that has built up over my time working. I use regular dish soap for this. And now it's time to patina. Patina is a chemical that you can use to change the color of the solder to either black or copper. Technically I should be wearing gloves for this, but shh, don't tell anyone. I should have worn gloves though. My hands smelled like sulfur for days after this. I found out about this neat life hack for patina, which is that instead of using a Q-tip and very meticulously applying it to the solder, you can add it to dish soap and lather it all up and it gets everything pretty well. I had to patina this piece twice though. I think wiping it with the paper towel kind of messed it up. Here I'm getting the chain all figured out and attaching it to the jump rings. And now, finally, 51 days, 3 spools of solder, and 128 pieces of glass later, he's finished! He looks gorgeous when backlit, kinda dorky when lit from the front, but I'm really happy with how it came together. He is 14 inches across and made with 10 different colors of glass. He weighs about 4 pounds. I doubt I'll ever make one of these again, unless you're that one person on Twitter with the world's biggest Caine shrine, hit me up. But I'm 100% fine with any of you using my pattern to make your own. Thank you to all my friends who gave me feedback and advice. Thank you to everyone who called me crazy, I took that as encouragement. Shout out my one friend who bought me the lead, I love you. Shout out Gooseworks and Glitch, and thank you for watching. I'll see you around.